Raw review for the October 28th episode of Raw. I'm Will, that's Brandon. We are the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast. As always, let's cheers, talk about some wrestling.
Yeah, it feels good to be back.
Mm-hmm.
Finally getting something back. Took a little bit of a break, as you see, little Los Angeles, still in the vacation mode, but excited to get back in the swing of things.
You went to LA, you brought you back a nice Kobe shirt. It's great. Let's get into Raw. So, Jey Uso, he starts off Raw. He's had a hell of a few weeks between the Intercontinental title loss last week on Raw, between hugging Jimmy Uso last week on SmackDown. We didn't get to review that, but good things happened there. Yeah. And he came out to address all of it. He comes out huffing and puffing per usual because that man yeets too much on his entrance.
Big bad wolf.
By the time he gets there, he's like, all right.
Huffing and puffing and yeeting this house down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, my God. He goes, a lot has happened. I lost the IC title. I have family drama. I went to SmackDown to cost them the tag team titles last week. I want to talk to someone, though. And when he says that, Jimmy Uso's music hits. Hopefully that's who he meant because it didn't matter.
Yeah, he didn't say who, but I guess that's who.
Yeah. Jimmy comes out and he says, I'm here to look you face to face and say thank you. Thank you for last Friday. We need to stick together to take down this new bloodline with Solo. We the ones, man. And Jay goes, whoa. Guess what? We're not the ones. And I was like, oh, that ain't good to hear. He goes, last time I saw you, we were fighting each other at WrestleMania. Yeah, good point.
Which, I mean, technically, though, that's not true. Last time we saw him, he gave him a hug. But like, I get what he means,
Yeah, very true. And then he kind of gets all fired up when he says that. He's like, guess what? Now they know. Now they don't get us confused. They know you're Jimmy Uso. They know I'm Jey Uso. I won titles. I did all this by myself.
Yeah. No yeet.
Yeet. He goes, I became a champ by myself and all that stuff. But no titles top being your twin brother. Aww. Yeah. The laugh track did that on Raw. He said, we still got to fix stuff, but if we do this, we ain't nobody's yes man. We ain't nobody's side piece is what he said. We do it together as the Usos. And Jimmy said, all right, OTC will be there on Friday. How about you come talk to him and we'll settle all this. We'll squash this beef. And Jay goes, I'll be there. And when he says that, Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa attack. Boom. Solo and Fatu are sitting on the outside. They're attacking. They're beating the hell out of him. Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. Solo sends Fatu in there. Fatu brings a chair. He beats them all up. And then he sets Jay up in the corner, puts a chair on his neck the same way that they wrote Jimmy out for a long time back. And I was sitting there going, it's Sami time. It's Sami time. I was like, yelling at you. I was like, it's Sami time. It's Sami time. We did not get that though. So when Solo does that, he starts to run toward Jay, and Jay takes the chair off, throws it at Fatu. And Fatu kind of stumbles out of the ring. I mean, I think they super kick him. They do like a double super kick.
Yeah, they do a couple super kicks back and forth. Boom, boom, bah.
Couple super kicks. They super kick all the other guys, all that good stuff. They clear the ring, and Usos stand tall here for this opening segment. But this was some good stuff. I gotta pop it.
Yeah. I don't know how you kind of can't pop this. I know it does feel a little bit rushed. Just the whole Bloodline stuff as a whole. We talked about that a little bit, but this brought some clarity to some of it.
Since we weren't here on Friday and we didn't really get to talk about it, does the Jay and Jimmy reconciliation feel a little bit rushed?
A little bit, but I think tonight provided some clarity that I think Jay said it best himself, that they're twin brothers, and that's going to take precedent over everything. So I think you get that answer. I think the part now that I'm intrigued is like Jay says there's no yes men, they're not yes men, but then Jimmy is still also a yes man, and he's like, well, the OTC is going to be there, so it's like he's kind of playing both sides a little bit. Right. So I think that's probably the more I guess the main focus right now,
Yeah, I agree with you. I would say it feels a little bit rushed, but this is the part of that story that I'm okay feeling a little rushed. Like, they are twin brothers, identical twin brothers who have spent 90% of their wrestling career being the Usos together. So if you're going to have to speed up one part of the process, screw it. Have Jay and Jimmy just reconcile here. let's get through it, and then let's focus on how we get Jay okay with Roman now.
Yeah, and I think at this point everybody's kind of looking at the calendar. You know, you got about a month or less than a month, and you got Crown Jewel, and then you got Survivor Series. It looks like Bloodline stuff's going to be on both shows, so it's going to be fast. It's going to be kind of furious, and we're probably not going to get all the answers we want.
Nope.
Which pushes me to think that the story's obviously not going to be over at Survivor Series.
Oh, no.
That it's just going to keep going. So I'm okay with them rushing that part. As we'll get to later in the night, you get more seeds.
Yes, you sure do. But it cuts to backstage. Adam Pearce is calling Nick Aldis. He's pissed. He's like, I told you it's okay if Jimmy wants to come talk to Jay, but the rest of the Bloodline, get your roster in check, bro. They can't be showing up to Raw whenever they want.
And before we talk about anything else, I like the tension. I like the brand, like warfare. Like, you're not going to do this on my show. Da 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 da. Just give me Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis. Well, give me a match.
That's such a small thing to put in there that like keeps the draft alive. Like, because we always do the draft and then it just breaks down, right? Like 6 months later, you just like, it's a mosh pit of wherever the rosters are. Yeah. At least this is acknowledging like, hey, they're not on the show, man. Keep them over there.
Yeah, that's cool. I gave you a special like pardon for Jimmy.
Yeah,
like Jimmy's fine. We agreed to that. I like that.
I agree. But Judgment Day, they want to talk.
Yep.
They want to know who Dom faces for his number one contender title match tonight, or at least, you know, I guess that wasn't official, but like Adam Pearce did tell Dom that he had to go through an old champion to become a number one contender. So
yeah, I think it's like you win this match and then you are going to have a match for the number one contender.
Okay, that makes
sense. I think
sense.
it's like a number two contender.
He told him last week that it's going to be a previous champion, and the entire world already knew what that meant, and it was confirmed. It's Damien Priest. And the second he says Damien Priest, all the Judgment Day members are kind of like, oh no.
Mm-hmm.
And Dom's immediately like, why are you guys hating?
Yeah.
Like, I can do this. I know all of his tricks. I was behind him for like years. Like, I can do this. And then Finn's kind of like, yeah, bro, he's pretty tough. It's kind of the gist of what Finn said. He's like, it's not going to be an easy fight. And he walks away.
And then JD also kind of follows Finn. So then it's just Carlito, Raquel, Liv, and Dom there. And you're like, okay, well, there's tension there already.
There is tension, but there wasn't much time to talk about the tension because Ludwig and Sheamus, they were in the ring, ready to go. Or Ludwig was already in the ring. Sheamus gets his entrance.
Yeah, you said, who's he fighting?
Yeah, I was like, who the hell is he fighting? I know that we had alluded to this fight like weeks and weeks ago because Ludwig was like, once you're done with Butch, I'm still coming for you. But like, you kind of have to remember that in order for this to make sense because I was kind of like, what the hell are they doing? Why are they fighting right now? But whatever. Anyway, this was a Ludwig Kaiser versus Sheamus match.
Yeah.
They beat the hell out of each other. It was back and forth to start. They went out of the ring, and Ludwig was trying to injure the shoulder and arm of Sheamus. He was pulling him into the ring post with it over and over again until Sheamus was like, you know what, that's a good move, so I'm going to try it on you. And then he gave it right back to him. Boom. Ludwig on the outside of the ring Sheamus was trying to get him like a power bomb, trying to like power bomb him through the announce table, and Ludwig turned it into a guillotine.
Yeah.
And then Sheamus was like, you know what, screw this. I'm going to send us both into the steel steps. And he just runs Ludwig's back right into the steel steps, which actually hit Sheamus's head as well. So they were both like in a daze after that.
Yeah.
That was a tough looking spot. Yeah. Sheamus would then do a high knee on the outside, get him into the ring, 10 beats of the Baldwin that we always love to see. He'd go up to the top rope, do a clothesline off that, 1, 2, ooh. Ludwig would respond with his own power bomb, and then he would powerbomb Sheamus, and Sheamus would kind of like ricochet up into a sitting position, and Ludwig would get him a good old high boot there, pin him 1, 2, ooh there. A lot of back and forth here. But Sheamus would end up just kind of hulking up, kind of what Sheamus does. He would hit him with a high knee, and that high knee would send Ludwig off the rope again, where he'd hit him with a bro kick. 1, 2, 3. Sheamus gets the win. I am going to pop it because the match is great. I'm not liking that Sheamus is winning all these matches, especially over a guy like Ludwig, though.
Yeah, that's the exact reason why I'm going to drop it. Nothing wrong with the match. Like you said, your standard match, standard Sheamus, Kaiser, hard-hitting match.
Yeah.
Come to see it from both of them, and you saw that a little bit before Kaiser, went out, obviously. But you had Sheamus beat Pete, Butch, whatever you want to call him, and he gets the win there, and that's kind of just, I guess, a thing, like that's over now.
Yeah.
And then now you have him going back to Kaiser, and it's like, okay, can we get somebody to get a win? It doesn't even have to be like a I guess like a feud. Like Sheamus could win the overall feud, I guess, but like I would like to at least see some of these guys pick up some steam.
And it's very odd of a decision to have Sheamus win this week, given Gunther and Ludwig are taking on Randy Orton Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes on SmackDown this weekend or this week on Friday. So it's like, why not just let Ludwig beat old man Sheamus here? We love Sheamus. We know he puts on great matches. Like, no stock would be lost at all.
Yeah.
You get to say, hey, Ludwig just beat Sheamus on Monday.
Yeah.
And that's a guy who's gone toe-to-toe with Randy Orton in the past, right? You then would have better stock built on the Ludwig Gunther side to give them reason to maybe beat Randy and Cody.
Yeah, and that's probably where I'm at. And some people might be like, oh, well, wrestling fans hate everything. Well,
yeah.
I mean, I guess you're not wrong. But to me, it's like, Sheamus' stock doesn't go up or down with a loss or a win. No. It's the same.
Sheamus' stock is his match quality.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's the same. So, like, if he wins, I don't go up. If he loses, I don't go down. Nope. It's the same thing. So, somebody like Kaiser, like, yeah, you're getting good matches out of him, but it's like also one of those things, it's like, well, we're just going to get good matches out of him and he's just going to lose every single match.
Yeah.
Like, so I would like to see them to start.
Gotta start building the Kaiser stock. We would then get a Rhea Ripley promo video calling out Miss Raquel, and she basically brought up how Raquel has also turned in the past. She's done bad things, and she said that the difference between her and Raquel is Raquel did it with no good intentions for anybody, basically. Like, she didn't have any good reason for it, while Rhea has reason to do everything she's doing now. So she says, at the end of the day, all I want is my title back, and you will have to kill me to stop me.
Yep. Yep. I mean, and that's pretty much like what we've seen, right? Like, she's kind of like the Terminator of the women's division, that she's just going to keep coming. So,
amen. Anyway, we get Jay and Jimmy walking backstage, and this is where things get nice and spicy. They run into Mr. Sami Zayn, guy I mentioned earlier in the night. Now he's here. And Sami looks at Jimmy and Jay and is like, can I talk to Jay for a second, basically? And Sami starts to ask Jay, it's all good. Like, you're just good with Jimmy now. You and the Usos are back together. And now you're going to SmackDown on Friday to bury the hatchet with Roman.
Yeah.
Just like that. And Jay is like, yeah, man. And Sami's like, I don't know if you should do that. And Jay's like, so are you picking Solo's side? And Sami's like, no, I'm not picking anybody's side. I'm picking Jey Uso's side. They did a lot of stuff to you in the past. They manipulated your brain in 100 ways. Maybe you should take a step back and think about it before you go do all this. And Jay said, you wouldn't understand because you're not family, Oos. Walks away.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah. I mean, you got to pop that a little bit too.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't a ton, but like, you were calling for Sami. We're like, okay, we know Sami's here. We got to get Sami into this some way, somehow. And for him to kind of have like an issue with Jimmy, he's like, let me talk to Jay alone. And then for him to bring up, I mean, they're valid points that he brings up. And you're like, okay, yeah, Sami's making sense. And Jay's like, well, I don't really care that you're making sense because you don't get this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh. So then right then and there at that point, I'm like, so maybe Jay doesn't want Sami on the side because he isn't family. You know what I mean?
No, I think, yeah. Yeah, we'll get into,
obviously we'll get into it later.
We got more to talk about later.
Right at this point in the show.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, oh, man, okay, Jay doesn't want Sami.
At this point in the show, I didn't know what to think, man. I was just kind of like, damn, that's an attitude change from Jay on the dot.
Yeah.
Like, he's a little defensive of his brother. Like, good stuff.
There was some interesting, I guess, is maybe the best way to put it, stuff with Jay tonight. Because, like, you had Jay being like, well, nothing's better than being your twin brother. Sami, you're not our family. But then, like, he also would get fired up at Jimmy and fired up at Sami. Like, his emotions are all over the place. Yeah. I think that's very, very key here.
I agree. We will get a Gunther promo where he'd call Cody the golden boy. He'd say he's a golden boy, but he's gutless champion. He always drags his personal people in with him. And this time, it's his good old buddy, Randy Orton. And this weekend on Friday, he's going to team up against Ludwig Kaiser to face Randy and Cody. And he told Cody, when you see Randy, you should ask him what it feels like when I choke you out, because at Crown Jewel, I'm going to choke you out. That's all he said.
Yeah. Short, sweet, effective, you know.
Okay, Gunther. Choke him out. Anyway, we move on. Zelina Vega comes out with LWO without Ray. And And then Ivy Nile comes out with the Creed brothers. Yep. No Chad Gable.
Right.
For a one-on-one singles action here, which was all Zelina Vega. All Zelina Vega. We'd have immediately Ivy would come after her and she'd get out of the ring or throw Ivy out of the ring, do a Meteora from the apron onto her. She would also, we come back from commercial break. Ivy would go for some sort of move, but Zelina would pop herself over into a stunner, and then she'd go to the top rope, moonsault off that, 1, 2, ooh. And I was like, damn, is Ivy going to get any offense? But Zelina Vega would end up trying to go for the code red near the ropes. And when that happened, one of the Creeds, I think it was Julius, distracted the ref on one side while Brutus pulled Ivy Nile out of the ring.
Yep.
And when that happened, LWO members, they come over because they want some smoke. They don't like that very much. Well, American Made, they took care of business.
Yeah, they did.
They swept them.
Yeah, just easy.
But when they did that, Ivy Nile got enough time to hit her swinging Uranagi. That's what they called it. One move, 1, 2, 3. She gets the win over Zelina Vega here. We always talk about how we do want to see more singles action from the women. Don't just throw them in there in a mosh pit. So that part's good. But Ivy Nile literally had no offense this match. Hits one move on Zelina Vega. It's game over. I don't know if I can support that very much, man. I like the idea of the match. I don't think it was done very well. I'm gonna drop it.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna pop this.
There you go.
We're gonna be different again.
There you go.
I'm popping it specifically because Ivy Nile, American Made, they get the win here.
That's true.
We always talk about how they need win. They need some steam.
Yep.
Looks like we're obviously gonna get a LWO American Made type feud here.
Yep.
Which is going to be good.
Yep.
The Creed's dispatching of LWO tonight. I mean, I looked at them and I said, well, the size difference is just, it's very noticeable.
Yeah.
And they just powerhouse, just tossed them, boom, bow, it's game over, you know?
Yep.
So Ivy Nile getting the win here. Yeah. While you said, she hits the one move, kind of discredits all the stuff that Zelina did. You're kind of like, but it's the heel way to win. And like I said, American Made gets the win. So I'm happy.
I agree with that. I just think that Ivy Nile has easily been the left out spot of American Made. Let her show off something.
Yeah.
Like anything.
Yeah.
She didn't do anything.
Yeah, and I guess it's a fair point to ask, like, they could have done the match a little bit differently. Like, we've seen Zelina matches.
Exactly.
And we've seen Zelina get all this offense in.
Yep.
And Zelina always gets her stuff in every match. Like, you could have maybe given Ivy a little bit more time.
Bingo. That is my issue with it. It's not. I'm okay with heels winning in heelish ways, but give Ivy Nile some more offense to be credible, a credible heel. We would go backstage again though to Jimmy and Jay. Yep. More of them. And Jay said he walked up to Jimmy and he said, "I told Sami that he ain't family, oos." And Jimmy's like, "Well, he not. Is what it is, bro."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Let me go talk to Sami, though." And Jay's like, "No, we don't go talk to him because I don't want you guys fighting. He don't like you very much." And Jimmy's like, "Just let me go talk to him. I'll work it out." So more on that later. Then we get Seth Rollins.
Yep.
He's coming to the ring to talk about his match at Crown Jewel with Mr. Bronson Reed.
Yeah. Kind of almost out of nowhere, it felt like.
Yeah.
It's just like, let's just drop this little Seth Rollins bow, I didn't expect it. I was like, oh, okay, here we go.
He's in the ring. He says, "I'm on a hunt for a monster." But little does Bronson Reed know I'm a monster too. It's part of me that's been asleep for a while, but Bronson Reed woke it up, and honestly, I like it, what he said.
Yeah.
And he basically said, "This Saturday, I'm going to start beating you." And then Bronson Reed shows up on the TV. And where is he? He's just out back. He's by one of those production trucks they got.
Yep.
And he goes, "Out of respect for Mr. Adam Pearce, because he gave me the match that I wanted, and I gave him my word, I will not be entering that arena. I will not be entering that ring tonight. I will be on the outside here. But you say you're hunting a monster. Monster's sitting right here, bro. You want some?"
Yeah.
And Seth Rollins is like, "You stay right there, big boy." That's what he says.
Yeah, he basically, Bronson Reed basically came up with that John Cena, if you want some, come get some. And Seth Rollins was all for it.
He said, you stay right there, big boy. He gets out of the ring. He storms through Gorilla. Adam Pearce is like, "You already have your match. Why are you doing this? Don't do this. Security's there." But Seth Rollins is throwing him against barricades. They meet, and they got it's a projection truck, some boxes stacked next to it, and a car. And you're like, "Oh, that's some like WWE 2K stuff there." That's set pieces for something.
Where's the cutscene?
Yeah, where's the cutscene? And they start beating the whole hell out of each other. But Bronson Reed throws Seth Rollins onto the hood of the car, and then Seth Rollins gets off the hood onto the boxes, and Bronson Reed tries to climb up there to get him, and Seth Rollins is able to hit him a couple times with like whatever's on top of there, just crates and stuff.
A bunch of just junk.
And Bronson Reed ends up with his head laying on the hood. Well, that's a pretty good position to do a super stomp. And that's what he does. Seth Rollins does a super stomp off the boxes onto the hood of the car to Bronson Reed. And I'm like, damn, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
And the camera, he walks away and the camera's focused on Seth, and Seth starts talking that shit, basically. He's talking smack. Bronson Reed gets up. He's alive, man. He's alive. And they start going at it again. And this time, Bronson Reed kind of puts Seth Rollins up into the open production truck that just so happens to have a couple tables on the outside of it. And they get inside the production truck where they're beating the hell out of each other with crates and stuff again. But Bronson Reed picks Seth Rollins up on his shoulders. Death Valley Driver jumping off the production truck through the tables, destroys Seth Rollins. Joe Tessitore and what's his name, Wade Barrett. They're talking about later in the night. They say he's gone to the ER and he's hurt 5 days before Crown Jewel. But this was spectacular. Pop, pop, pop.
Yeah, you gotta pop this. And throughout the brawl, you had Rollins swinging the truck door and hitting him, and Bronson Reed throwing a trash can, just like super cool. Just like we talked about it with Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman. Like, you could just give me stuff like this all the time with Bronson Reed, and I'm gonna be invested. They have done such a good job with him. Like, how do you reinvent the monster thing? You do it this way, where it's just shock value after shock value, but also there's legitimate storytelling as well. So it's like Seth Rollins gets the advantage, and he's hunting this monster, and he talks him up to be this big monster, and yet he stomps him onto a hood, and he's killed the monster there. No, he doesn't, because he's a monster. And then he still comes back from that. Like, that's good storytelling for Bronson Reed's stock, and it's great stuff for Seth Rollins. I mean, because it's awakening his inner character that we haven't seen for a while. Seth Rollins, this is just great. Yeah, and you have Joe Tessitore say, he said the car ornament was what he kept calling Bronson Reed. And it's just like a really good, visual too. You have Rollins talking that smack, and he's leaning in really close to the camera. And you just have the monster just like slowly, awaken or rise. He's like, I'm not done yet. I mean, they just keep hitting home runs to me in terms of Bronson Reed. That it's just like short, sweet stuff, and this is all you need.
Now we're getting an injured Seth Rollins going into the match, so maybe Bronson Reed does get the win here in their first roundabout here, and
maybe you do
have the tape around the guts,
Yeah, maybe he gets a couple tsunamis off, and maybe you have like a ref stoppage. I can see them going that route to protect Seth Rollins, Plus, Seth's always had a history of ref stoppages,
We'll have to see in our prediction video later this week. Anyway, we moved on to the number one contender match for the tag team titles. Triple threat here. We got the LWO in terms of Dragon Lee and Rey Mysterio. They're teaming up to face the War Raiders, Eric and Ivar, taking on the New Day. Triple threat action here. And this whole beginning was all about War Raiders and how they're great and how the New Day and the LWO are trying to team up to take these suckers down, but they just can't. Whenever they get any sort of momentum against one of them, the War Raiders will pick one of the members up, throw them at the other member, pick each other up, throw it at them. Like, they're absolutely insane. Eventually, Xavier Woods and Rey Mysterio in the ring, and they do get the best of one of them, of Eric, or I think it was Eric. And then Rey and Xavier kind of go after it. And Xavier's kind of hot, and Kofi's sitting there waiting for a hot tag, and the whole crowd's cheering, Kofi, Kofi, and Kofi's doing the stomp on the ring apron like you always do when you want the hot tag. And Xavier Woods is like, no, I'm doing just fine.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep beating him
up. It's like, I'm trying to win the match here.
Yeah, I'm trying to win the match here. I
don't see any problem with it,
Eventually, he does make the hot tag, and Kofi goes absolutely bananas. He does the double boom drop to Ivar and Rey, who are stacked on top of each other. Why isn't that a pin?
I think they were next to each other.
No, they were on top of each other.
No. Rewind it. Somebody let us know.
Somehow it ends up where all the men are on the outside, and Kofi goes to the top rope. He does a dive onto all of them. He's looking real good here. But somebody who wasn't in this match up to this point is Mr. Dragon Lee. Every time Rey tries to tag that man in, something has to happen. But he does get the hot tag here, and Dragon Lee goes wild. That dude is absolutely insane. I mean, he's doing like corner drop kicks. Him and Ray did this thing where Kofi was about to get superplexed by Eric on the top rope, but Dragon Lee ends up power bombing Kofi, and Rey Mysterio jumps over and does a Hurricane Rana to Ivar. I mean, they are such a great team.
Yeah.
Like that is such a great team.
Yeah,
there.
they're just really fun.
But yeah, and when they get hot, they get real hot. And Kofi Kingston's in the ring, and Xavier Woods runs in, but Ray sends him out of the ring. And when that happens, Dragon Lee does a jump. So Ray sends Xavier Woods out of the ring. He puts Kofi in a 619 position. Dragon Lee jumps over Kofi Kingston outside the ring, takes out Xavier Woods. Ray then goes for the 619 win. Chad Gable out of nowhere, not in this match, wasn't on the American Made stuff earlier. He grabs Rey Mysterio, puts him in an ankle lock, pulls him out of the ring, and that gives Ivar and Eric enough time to get in the ring and decimate Kofi Kingston for the rest of it. 1, 2, 3, your War Raiders are going on to face Judgment Day for the tag team championships. But this was just a lot going on here. Really great tag action. Not a fan of the Gable getting involved there at the end, really, but this is good. Pop.
Yeah, I'm going to pop this as well. Really fun stuff. I mean, I don't want to call it a spot fest, but it's just spot, yep. Boom, quick, fast, action paced. Everybody looked good. And I think that's probably why you have Gable interfere, because you continue to make LWO look strong. You got the New Day, who they are kind of on the rocks a little bit, so it's okay for them to take the pin here. It just makes sense for the War Raiders to get the win here, even though I'm not obviously the biggest fan of them. But I want to see more Ray and Dragon Lee was kind of my takeaway from this match.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, yeah, please just give me that all the time.
Yeah.
So if we can get that, obviously, with the American Made stuff, like sign me up. And then you'll have the War Raiders, obviously, take those belts off Judgment Day and see what happens after that.
What you end up happening at the end of this match is a lot of tag team stuff like that can happen. You're gonna have Dragon Lee and American Made, or Dragon Lee, Rey Mysterio, and American Made going after it. The Creeds and LWO set that up earlier, so it's faction battle there where you can switch and swap people all the time for tag matches. War Raiders looked extremely strong here. They did a phenomenal job at that. They look legit. That's going to be a great match. Hopefully they rip the belts off them, honestly. And then the Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston stuff, that continues. So.
Yeah. And as like I said, as much as I'm not a fan of the War Raiders, like I get it. I get why people like them.
Yep.
I pray they take those belts off Judgment Day, because at least they'll be in the matches. They'll defend them. They'll actually, put on shows when they're in the ring. So
they will bring prestige back to the tag division. Anyway,
this is going to be our thing now. Huh?
We go back, and Miz and Adam Pearce are talking backstage. And he's pleading for his life. So basically, earlier in the night that we missed, R-Truth was talking to Alpha Academy, and he's like, you guys look awfully good without Gable, by the way. It's great. And Miz shows up, and he's like, dude, the White Six are after me. I want to just say I'm sorry. I love my family. I love you. We're family. We should get the Awesome Truth back together. Anything to get the White Six off his back, basically. And R-Truth is like, or Maxine and them are like, no, don't do that. We've dealt with that kind of stuff before. And R-Truth is like, no, you guys are good. You guys just go for a minute. I'll talk to him. And R-Truth is like, you know what? You right, man. And they start dancing. And then R-Truth cuts him real quick. Pow! And he's line of the night from R-Truth. What does he say? He says, good luck with Wyatt's. Y'all gonna die. But now we jump forward a little bit, and Miz is pleading to Adam Pearce, like, get him more security. And Adam Pearce looks over and he's like, what about them? Or he just goes, I think you have something to handle. And it's Karrion Kross. And Karrion Kross says, by the end of next Raw, you better have Bo Dallas for me, or else I'm going to break your arms.
He said, he's like, did you come up with a plan? And the Miz is like, when the Wyatt music hits, we just run.
Yeah.
And we run away. And then Karrion Kross tells him to shut up and basically like, no, you're going to get me Bo Dallas. If not, I'm going to break your legs.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. Which it sounds super, intimidating, right? Like, I don't want to lose my legs, but also at the same time, I mean, Karrion Kross hasn't been able to like...
Yeah, what are you going to do to me?
Yeah, he hasn't delivered anything out. So like,
Yeah.
Poor Miz, I guess.
I was thinking the same thing. Then the juiciest part of the night happened.
Mm-hmm.
The last part of this Judgment or Bloodline stuff. Jimmy is on his way. He's trying to find Mr. Sami Zayn. Walks out to the garage or the parking lot. And Jay meets up with them. And when Jimmy and Jay meet at the parking lot, they look over to see Sami Zayn talking to Solo Sikoa. Oh, man. Jimmy looks at him, and all he says is, Jimmy just says, I told you, Oos, family is all we've got. You, me, Roman have to do this. And Jay looks at him and goes, yeet. Woo! Oh, man, what the hell is going on here?
God, yeah. I mean, it's really weird for Sami to, earlier in the night be like, oh, I'm not on Solo's side. Here's all these things you should watch out for. Goes and talks to Solo.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously what we think is going to happen is he's still going to be on the Jimmy train, but like you've already started to kind of burn that bridge a little bit. So you tease some tension there. I mean, why would you talk to Solo? You know what I mean?
I have no idea why he's talking to Solo. Because I guess he still has hard feelings for Roman, but also he understands Solo's bad too. Like Solo never liked Sami throughout their entire Bloodline stint. Solo was always trying to give him the spike the entire time. So it feels like, I just don't know where they're going with that.
The only thing I could probably think of is Solo throughout his, like, when Jay was defending that title against Braun Breaker, Solo's like, I'm trying to help you, Jay. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you. Sami Zayn earlier in the night says he's trying to help Jay. So maybe that's like the common denominator that Solo and Sami are like, we're trying to help Jay. We're trying to help Jay. And that's probably the way maybe they go about it. That's the only thing I can think of.
Does this end in a Jay heel turn, kind of? Does he start to still get mad at Roman in some way? Maybe that's not going to be as easy of a reconciliation as we may think. And now you have Sami talking to Solo. That's his, his two big brothers basically that aren't Jimmy were Roman and Sami on these two sides. And he doesn't like Roman because of the past stuff. And now Sami's doing this. So you're just going to have a pissed off Jay.
Yeah, and again, it kind of goes back to the time thing, right?
Yeah.
We talk about Survivor Series. Like, to me, what would make the most sense is like, you have Jay go like berserk and he doesn't know who to trust and he just kind of loses his mind. Yeah. And maybe he's gone for like a show. But you're already so close to Survivor Series that it's like you kind of can't have that. So maybe that's kind of how he does it and he just kind of loses his mind. So maybe he's not like a heel turn, but maybe he's just like, I don't know, more aggressive or confused or, frustrated. I don't know.
No, that wouldn't happen. I'm just going through situations in my head because I was thinking like maybe Sami ends up joining Bloodline 2.0 in the War Games in some way, shape, or form. But you just really don't have the numbers on the Bloodline 1.0 side to have more members being added to the other side at this moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and they could just keep saying family, 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 and maybe they come back and say, like, maybe Jay at the end of the day is like, I'm sorry, Sami, like you are family. Like maybe that's how they do it. But we talked about it a little bit with previous stuff with Jay. Like I never thought they'd be fighting over Jay at one point, right? I never thought I'd see Sami Zayn talking to Solo Sikoa in a parking lot, It's just such good stuff.
Insane plot twist. Anyway, the best part of the night happened here, though, let me tell you. Not the juiciest, but the best.
Yep.
We would have our main event, Damien versus Dirty Dom, who came out by himself. Well, he came out with Liv and Raquel, but they gave him butterfly kisses and sent him on his way. Because he's a man. He could do it by himself. He don't need help. No one.
Yep.
Until the match started when Dom jumped Damien early.
Yeah.
Damien was taking off his jacket, and Dom jumped him.
Smart move.
And Damien destroyed him
yeah.
for the next 10 minutes because of that. Damien was real pissed off. He was throwing him in the corners. He was uppercutting him and kicking him, throwing him out of the ring. And he was throwing Dom off the barricade until Dom did reverse one, sending Damien into the ring post. And we went into commercial break, and when we came back, Dom was in the middle of his three amigos. And on the third amigo, he decided to shimmy. And that doesn't work when he shimmies.
No.
When he shimmies, it's over.
Yeah.
And he went for the third amigo, and Damien Priest reversed it into a Falcon Arrow. Looks really nice.
Dude, his Falcon Arrow, we talked about it when we watched it. It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's just the way he throws him and he sits down with it. Like, I like it.
Damien obviously starts to dominate here. He's smiling while he does it. He loves beating up Dirty Dom. But Dom would roll out of the ring, and Damien would run out there and shoulder tackle him over the announce table, just absolutely dominating him. But when they would get back into the ring, Liv and Raquel would come out, start distracting the ref. Damien was still on the outside, and when they distracted the ref, that left JD and Carlito, no Finn, room to start to try to beat up Damien. And they did for 5 seconds.
Yeah, if that. JD knocked Damien Priest down, I think, behind the barricade.
Yeah.
And then that was it.
JD kind of threw him over the ring announcer barricade, and Damien popped up with a chair and hit JD like 4 times with it. Beat the holy hell out of that man.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely destroying him.
Yeah, then he wasn't done, though.
Carlito was in the ring, and he walks in there and hits Carlito in the stomach with it, and then beats him over the back with it a few times. And Liv and Raquel, they jump on the ring apron again, and, you know, they're trying to wave the white flag, basically, for the rest of Judgment Day. You know, stop hitting them with chairs. When Dirty Dom gets a roll up on Damien Priest. 1, 2, 3. Dirty Dom defeats Damien Priest. That's how you do it right there. Well done.
Yep. And then Damien wasn't too happy with that.
Damien wasn't happy about that, though. Wasn't happy about that at all. He starts to beat the hell out of Dom with a chair. I mean, he hits him like, I think I wrote down 5 times. Yeah, he hit him 5 times with the chair. And then he south of heavens Carlito. He's south of heavens Dom, where he picks him up 20,000 feet in the air and slams him down.
Yeah.
Absolutely nasty stuff. No Finn Balor during this entire segment, because Dom has now defeated Finn Balor.
Whoa. Rewind.
No Finn Balor during this segment because Dom has defeated Damien Priest, and Finn couldn't do that. But this was some sort of a contender match, so Dirty Dom has proven himself. He's beaten Damien Priest. And this gives him more reason to like this new Judgment Day. He's now, because of Liv, beaten his dad twice and beaten Damien Priest. Pops.
Yeah, I mean, this is how you do it. You get Dom a win over a former world champion.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is so good for the Judgment Day stuff. You have Finn earlier in the night saying, like, you got to be careful. And Dom's like, I'll do it on my own. Dom technically doesn't do it on his own. Judgment Day helps kind of come in for the save, but no Finn. So obviously Finn's going to be the jealous type. And we're eventually going to get like a Finn-Dom match out of this, you know, down the road, which is fantastic. I mean, I think we always talk all the time about how do you get Dom to come out on the other side of this Judgment Day stuff, like looking strong, looking good. I mean, he's got a feather in his cap now. He beat Damien Priest. So you could at least say that. Like, at the end of the day, I'm going to look at the results and be like, well, Dom beat Damien Priest. I don't care how he did it.
Yeah, he beat Damien Priest. He's the man. He's Dom Mysterio. He's the greatest Mysterio to ever step foot in a wrestling ring. Mm-hmm. So he might even be a Guerrero. Who knows? But yeah, it was perfectly done. There wasn't much Dom offense, but any offense he got was outsmarting Damien Priest. Like reversals to catapult into bigger moves, stuff like that. You know, jumping him earlier in the match, like being just a classic heel, doing all the heel stuff, winning the heel way. He gets all the people running in with him. This is exactly how you do it. Please, oh please, let this catapult him into some sort of IC title shot. Something, man. I mean, we need it.
Yeah, you got to have something. And like you said, he says earlier in the night, like, I know all of Damien's moves. So to your point, you know, it's all reversals.
Yeah.
It's all, and you look at the two, you look at Damien Priest, big dude.
Yeah.
You look at Dom, not as big of a dude.
Not as big of a dude.
So he needs to do that. And, you know, I mean, he got destroyed 95% of this match. But I don't care because it's exactly the way they did it. It was fantastic. I thought it was also great at the end. You have Priest kind of, I don't know, Priest angrily destroying Judgment Day, I guess, you know, Carlito and him. He doesn't lose any stock. Damien's fine. And you have no Rhea Ripley, which I thought was a really good thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad Rhea didn't run out and try to go after Raquel and Liv or anything throughout the match or after the match or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm so glad she didn't save the day in terms of Dom losing this match. That would have just been like steam out, like just complete. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
So this is good stuff. Dirty Dom's the man.
Titles and tendies.
Titles and tendies, baby.
We've got the tendies down. We're on our way to titles.
Yeah, we are. We are. Anyway, this is a great episode of Raw. I mean, nothing spectacular, but this was good. This is good.
Yeah, I said to you when we watched it, it's kind of house showish, which, I mean, it's fine because it leads you to Crown Jewel, which is admittedly kind of the house show PLE. Yep. So, like, anybody expecting anything crazy big here, obviously you're going to be disappointed.
Yep.
Bloodline stuff was good, though. Judgment Day stuff was good. Outside of that, didn't really get a whole lot, but that's all we needed.
It was enough for us to give it a pop. Looking forward to SmackDown and looking forward to Crown Jewel. Be on the lookout for our Crown Jewel predictions. That will be coming out Thursday. So hell yeah to that. Anyway, follow us on all of our socials at COD WrestlePod, COD WrestlePod. Listen to us wherever you get your podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, etc. And we do have a Discord. If you want to come talk to us, it's in the link tree in our bio. It's got all of our socials. Just go ahead and follow all of those. We greatly appreciate it. Till next time, I'm Will. That's Brandon. We are the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast, and we will see you next time.